It's 7 o'clock and I'll call this meeting to order. First thing, let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, first item on the agenda is our December minutes and January claim docket. Everybody had a chance to review those?
I have reviewed the December minutes and the January claim dockets, and I make a motion that the
Okay, I have a first motion.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. First item on old business is town manager position. Anybody have any edits to the document that we've been passing around, or?
I like it. Go forward. Yeah.
I like it. I think they're, I just wanna check, cause I didn't see this on there, but, where you have a description of his duties, it doesn't say anything about that he is over employees. Doesn't he or she kind of tell Pete what to do?
I thought it was in there, I thought it said that 7 employees.
Okay, I must have missed it, cause I've read it twice, but I kind of skimmed over
I
it,
think
so.
it is.
In the general job summary, it talks about the town manager will possess strong leadership capabilities and will exhibit demonstrated abilities to work collaboratively with the town's department heads and 7 employees. The town manager works closely with the town attorney. So I guess it,
Should that be changed to town manages the 7 then?
the first sentence, the Clayton town manager is the administrative head of and economic development coordinator of the town of Clayton. Does that need to be expanded to say the manager of the 7 employees as well?
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Okay.
It's not real prominent of, that he would be managing employees.
You're still gonna leave it as a full-time position?
I was looking up some information about the full-time, and maybe we can double check with Graham if he can research some more, but I think that a company is allowed to have up to 49 employees without being mandated to provide the insurance. So if we had one full-time employee, I don't think we would, by the rules in the Affordable Care Act and under the state of Indiana, I don't think we have to provide insurance or other benefits. Is that
I don't know the answer to that.
okay?
Off the top of my head. Dan was not, right, because he was an independent.
He was a
Contract.
contracted employee, so he wasn't considered, I mean, he worked full-time hours, but
Right.
because he wasn't a salaried employee, he didn't count. But I think from what I looked up with, like, the Affordable Care Act requires, health insurance for employees, but in a small company, less than 50 employees, they were exempt, is from what I remember reading.
Yeah, I mean, we have employees at my firm and we don't have health insurance for them. They're full-time.
You, wanna bring up what you and Pete talked about, as far as the girl, the manager part, that kind of consisted of that. I wasn't here for the whole conversation, so I.
Yeah, Pete was willing to help out if we wanted to expand his job role, and in the meantime to fulfill some of the other duties. So we can certainly, have more of a conversation with Pete. I thought, you know, he's certainly been in the Clayton area for 51 years, and so he has a lot of experience. He knows a lot of contacts, knows how to, you know, find people that he needs to find, that kind of stuff. So it could be very helpful, especially in the interim while we're looking for a new town manager. So I think that probably warrants another conversation with all of us and Pete. So if I clarify this sentence on the would be the direct supervisor for these 7 employees, would that
Yes.
make more?
Uh-huh.
And then with adding that sentence, would everybody be good with posting this with AIM and the Purdue job board? And
I have
Go ahead.
another problem.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, we appropriated 36,000 in the general fund, but you're
Okay.
taking it up to 55. I don't know, I'm sorry, but I don't understand where you think the money's coming from, unless it comes out of the sewer plant, which is where we're having all the money that we're gonna have to spend maybe down there.
Well, I mean, it's common to offer a range when you're putting out there. It doesn't mean that we're gonna pay the person at the top end of it.
Okay.
So the job posting is just putting a range out there to hopefully attract some people, and then we negotiate those. And I thought with what we were paying, what we had budgeted, there was a chunk out of wastewater treatment plant that was dedicated to the town manager's salary also. Is that correct?
Only, I wish I had my calculator. $6,000,
Okay.
because he got paid 36 out of the town and 6,000 out of sewer.
Okay. For some reason, I had in my head 42,000 was his.
No, we've always, and I think next year, it's just 36 in there also. 37,260 because of the raise. That's what's in the general fund.
37,
37,260.
and then 6,000 from the wastewater treatment plant would
Right.
put that at a total of 43. So, do we want to take out the range and just put the 37,250 and the 6,000 from wastewater treatment plant only, just that number, whatever that adds up to be? Or,
I'm just telling you what we have, that's.
Sure. right,
I don't think you should take out the range. I think you should leave it the way it is, and then we get our candidates in, and then get down to the nitty gritty when you're talking about your final candidate, and then we talk about the salary. But if you take that out completely and you send this out, you're gonna have somebody, you know, expecting really, he's gonna apply and they're gonna expect a really large amount of money for a salary. So I don't think it's bad to leave the range in there. We can change the range a little bit if needed to be.
anybody else have any thoughts on that part of it, the salary?
I agree with Dave.
Okay, leave the range in there,
Mhm.
give us wiggle room to negotiate. Okay. So I'll change that sentence on the, with the 7 employees that the town manager is the, direct supervisor. And then, we can send this to, AIM, so they can put it on their job board, and Purdue. Very good. Alright, next thing on the agenda is new business. So we have Brad Robertson here from Wessler Engineering. Talk to us about wastewater collection systems.
Yes, and I want to thank you for having me tonight. The last couple of years, we have done the smoke testing. We did the manhole inspections on the sanitary side and did the mapping. So Dan could better understand the system and the town could better understand. We also did the storm sewer mapping. And with Dan leaving, kind of like coming in on what you were just talking about, we were wanting to offer a proposal, just to offer our services. If there's some sewer inspections, CCTV review, additional smoke testing, additional manhole inspections, anything that you would want us to come out and take a look at until town manager's hired. So that's the proposal that I have tonight. Thank you.
And this would be just a kind of an ongoing, agreement for as needed.
Yes,
We'd call you up and,
it's a 2021 on-call contract, so starting now till December 31st.
And hourly, charged hourly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the services are listed in there, what we would come out and do. I did speak with Dan, I think it was right before he had left, and as far as sewer inspections, I don't know how much, if somebody needs to go out and look at a lateral inspection, you had mentioned somebody here in town might be able to do that, but we would offer that service as well. To make sure that the work is being done, performed to your specifications.
okay, does anybody have any more questions for Brad Robertson?
Would it be the same person, or would it be, could be anybody, or somebody that specializes in maybe what we're calling about?
It would be me.
Okay.
Yeah. Dan and I had a good relationship, and Jenny and I, we talked, and I'm very particular about, we had a coolie come out. Dan had asked for 4 of the worst manholes in the system, and we had coolie come out. And just those 4 manholes that were rehabbed drastically reduced the amount of infiltration at the treatment plant.
Okay.
And I know there's still more leaks out there that need to be addressed, and once those are fixed, probably additional smoke testing to make sure there's not other leaks that are starting to surface.
Okay.
But yes, I would like to be the one to come out and do the inspections or offer the service, yes.
We've recently had a lot of work done, by Mason Private Locating. You guys do the same type of stuff they do, or is that a completely different?
Mason does a lot of cleaning and televising, is that what they're doing?
Yes.
Okay, we don't do the cleaning and televising, we do review the tapes and offer our rehab recommendations.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so it's in there that we would review the tapes if need be.
alright. So when GRW finishes with their, bid process and things like that, are you guys gonna be one of the companies that might possibly bid to do the repair or the rehab?
The rehab is usually contracted out to like a coolie, a contractor, and then we would oversee the work that they do to make sure it's done right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. We wouldn't perform the work ourselves, no.
Okay. Alright, any other questions?
You know, review that, and then get back with him on it.
Yeah, I think we would need to do that,
Okay.
make sure to have everybody have a chance to look over that, and then
Absolutely.
we've got your card with your email, so we could email questions to you if we come up with any and those kinds of
Absolutely.
things, so thank you for thinking of us.
Well, again, thank you for having me. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Alright, next item on the agenda is introduction of ordinance to amend the sewer rate ordinance. We had a business rate that came out because of the formula that the Baker Tilly group used. It came out to $86.13, and we want to get rid of the 13 cents since that's just kind of a nuisance part. So we want to lower that to just the $86.
So it's kind of the same process. We introduce it this meeting, and then we have to publish notice and then adopt it in February.
Okay. So we'll have to send out a public notice for next meeting that we're having a public hearing for the change in the sewer rate. And then after the public hearing part, we can vote and ratify this ordinance and the change. Any questions from anybody? All right. Next item on the agenda, internal control policy. This came about with the recent audit that the State Board of Accounts did. They brought up that that we did not have an internal control policy, and that according to state law we are required to have one. There is a document that the State Board of Accounts put out called the Universal Internal Controls Standard. That's not a policy, that's just what they want for you to think about when you're writing your policy for your town. They understand that every town is different, so they don't write policies for towns, they just put out kind of information about what needs to be in that. Some of the things that, you know, they go into is, you know, more than one set of eyes on cash deposits, cash receipts, kind of somebody that can follow along with, you know, here's, you know, budget information, and here's what we're actually spending. Are those two the same? So some of the other information that's in there, you know, they talked about in the audit that we had some issues with just providing internal controls documentation, that we've done that. So those of us on the town council, other employees in the town, we're supposed to do an internal controls training. We hadn't documented that fully, so I think we're up on that now. I think everybody has turned in their documentation for their internal controls part. But anyway, it's a long, complicated process in my opinion, so I don't think we're going to solve this in one night, but I wanted to get the discussion started on where we need to go with this. Does anybody have any questions that jump out at them on this? Jenny found a sample of an internal controls online, so she printed that out for us to look at. Another thing that, oh sorry, go ahead.
Just the town has never had anything like this, is that right?
As far as I can tell, we have not.
We've always done the internal control thing, but
Yeah.
we've never done policy for it.
It's a bad thing.
I mean, the design or the purpose of an internal control is to protect taxpayer money, make sure that it's not, you know, falling through the cracks or getting, you know, misplaced or stolen or any of those kinds of things. So it's, you know, that's kind of the focus of that. kind of getting town employees and other elected officials here in town, the mindset that internal controls are important is another part of this. So, I thought, it's definitely something we need to, kind of start hammering away at to try to come up with the best thing that'll fit us here at the town of Clayton.
I got a quick question, it's
Okay.
farther down there, but it pertains to this internal thing on, discussion on appointing a deputy clerk. Now, Jenny, she was elected official,
She is.
now would this, if you had a deputy clerk, would they have to be an elected official?
Jenny has, according to Indiana code, Jenny has complete control over appointing a deputy clerk if she'd like. The only thing, we as the town council can decide their salary. I was talking to Jenny, last week about, she already has a person that she gets office help from related to town clerk business. And I was thinking, can we just name that person her deputy clerk? And then, find some way to incorporate that person a little bit more into helping Jenny throughout the year as another part of that internal controls. Like I said, another set of eyes on the books, on especially cash deposits, that kind of stuff. So right now we have budgeted $1,000 for this person. I believe that's correct, Jenny. $1,000 for this. What's her name? I keep saying just this, but Judy. Okay, so Judy. So if Jenny wants to appoint Judy as the deputy clerk, she can. That's completely within her purview as an elected official, and so she could designate Judy as her deputy clerk. And then we could decide we want to incorporate Judy into a more active role in the internal controls. So like the State Board of Accounts people, when they were talking to us at the exit conference, they were kind of vague about what that meant as far as how often does this extra set of eyes have to be on the cash deposits and those kinds of things. So it's up to us as far as, the group of us, Jenny included, on how do we want to incorporate Judy as the deputy clerk in helping with internal controls.
If Judy is put into that role, or let's just say anybody's moved into like a greater role of like a deputy clerk like that, is there training that she has to go through for the State Board of Accounts because she's now in that role? I was just curious. And then also, for your own protection, would she have, or that person have, a separate login to Keystone and a computer, so they're not logging in as you? Because if they happen to make an error, then that would be on you with no proof of how it got changed. So that's just something to think about.
I think one of the main things that me and Doug were talking about was how the State Board of Accounts wants somebody to look over the deposits. And it was like I kept telling the girl, you expect someone to come down here, I deposit at least 3 days a week, come down here every 3 days, every time, and look over the deposit and make sure it's right, and that's when they were really vague. Well,
They kind of like hemmed and hawed. We were like,
we're a one-horse town, and blah, blah, blah.
right.
So that's why we started talking about that, and then she could come down like 2 days a week and look at the deposits and make sure that she agreed with what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think she would really do too much on the computer.
So she wouldn't be in doing any kind of
Entry,
paying or
no.
generating checks or anything like
No.
that?
Except for the time when you're on your vacation, because she does that.
She deposits money, but she never puts anything in the
Oh,
computer.
Alright.
She just leaves it for me to do when I get back.
Which,
Cause I think Leanne is on the thing at the bank, so if a check needed to be written, but when I was gone, Leanne would do it. So maybe she needs some training.
Oh, I mean, as far as training goes, I just didn't know if there was something that, with the creation of a position like that, that then that kind of officially says you've gotta have some kind of training.
There might be but, you know, and I think it's certainly open to interpretation, especially with the way State Board of Accounts was with us on the exit conference. They didn't really give us a whole lot of great yes or no answers when we asked questions like that. But you know, if Jenny wants Judy to come in twice a week or once every 2 weeks or whatever Jenny decides, then we just as a board have to decide what's that worth to us and how are we gonna come up with the money to pay for that and those kind of things. We could, you know, change that salary ordinance to that person's now a hourly rate salary, hourly person at so many hours a week, or however we wanted to do that. But
Jenny, do you have to make 3 deposits a week? I mean,
If you have over $500 in a day's time, you have to deposit it. And like today, I only had 430 something, but I went ahead and deposited it anyway.
then I got worried about Jenny having that much cash in the building, and but she does have a lockbox. I didn't know she had a locking drawer, but she has one, so that's good. Which I think we would just want to make sure to, you know, mention in our internal controls that
Yeah.
she's got a lockbox and it's, you know, protected with, you know, her having a key and so on and so forth. So, but so lots of stuff to have to hammer out. Another part that I was looking at the universal controls, or the universal standards that the State Board of Accounts puts out, is they mention just having a job description for each employee, a employee handbook, and a way to evaluate employees with regards to performing their job duties related to internal controls, and obviously that's a whole lot of work as well. Last year I had talked to the group about a software company called Tenzinga that was willing to do those kinds of things for us. And I think it was a $250 upfront cost and then a $300 a year, I think, total. But so that might be worth looking into again. I know we decided last year that we didn't think we needed it right now, but
Who was it?
Tenzinga, Tenzenga, and they gave us a little live demonstration of their software and how it worked on, you know, with putting in your job description things, and you know, if we have requirements like our requirement for you know, the internal controls training, we can have that listed in there, and it just shows up as a certificate for that employee. So lots of stuff to think about. Does anybody have any other thoughts or things they want to discuss on internal controls at this point in time? And we need to work on, we'll look through the one that Jenny printed out for us and see if everybody feels that meets our minimum needs. And then we can talk about it some more next month. Is that okay? Very good with that. All right. the next item on the agenda is, with getting an SRF loan. There's a fair labor standards, situation that we have to pay attention to. Every employee that comes and works on the wastewater treatment plant or the collection system under this SRF loan, they have to meet that Fair Labor Standards Act. The Mike Kleinpeter Consulting Group has put together a contract offering to once a week go through that roster of employees and verify that they're all legally employed here in the United States and that they're not being forced into unpaid overtime and so on and so forth.
So even though they're not our employees, they're employees of the contractor, we have to have oversight over that?
Because we're paying them with the state revolving fund monies.
Okay.
That's the way I'm understanding that. So Mike had sent this contract back in November. Didn't get presented to us, but that's something we have to look into. Do we want to think about this some more and talk about it again next month, or do we want to just accept Kleinpeter Consulting's contract?
I have no idea what he wants to charge to do that or anything. It's just-
Oh, it's in the contract, 7,500.
I was
Sorry.
just gonna ask, is this money taken out of the SRF loan money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the $7,500 that we would pay Kleinpeter Consulting is going to come directly out of the SRF funds that we get for the project as a whole.
It's a lot of money, they should have brought that up going into this whole thing. It's not like it's a few $100s. They knew that was gonna be an option going into this. That's,
Well, I think he sent it in November and then Dan never got it to us or something. That was the main.
It got overlooked. So
Got overlooked.
Mike, when I called Mike this week, he didn't know that Dan had left, so he was
He's the one that
waiting.
does
the grant writing, and
yeah.
so he just had lack of information about that our town manager had left, so he didn't know to follow up with anybody else.
That 7,500, that's the one time
Yes.
deal, they can't start over. Not come back to, well, we need a little more money, cause we checked some more.
No, it says this project will be billed quarterly for services outlined, so it's just $7,500 total. Just $7,500.
Any other questions on that contract?
So it's $7,500 for the year? Or
Well, for the project,
For the project?
right?
The entire lifespan of the project, or just?
For this part of so the SRF loan that we're going to get is going to cover contract A, which is the collection system rehab.
Right.
So this contract covers that contract A. So however much work is done
With
on
the
the collection
contract A,
system,
which may run into 2022, this $7,500
right?
fits that, okay.
Any other questions on that?
Do we need a motion for that?
If we're gonna accept the contract tonight, then we would.
I make a motion that we accept it because
Okay.
we're gonna,
First motion, for accepting the contract?
I'll second the motion.
Alright, second, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll accept the contract with Kleinpeter Consulting for the Fair Labor Standards Act contract.
can I add one other thing?
Yeah,
I think that's I mean, I don't really wanna do it either, but it's better to do it than not do it, because if something, either we're gonna have to have somebody doing all that, or if we miss something and something happens, then it's gonna be on us, which would be a lot more than 7,500K. So,
Probably. All right, next item on the agenda, Deb Luzier is going to talk to us about proposal from GRW in our planning and zoning and BZA.
Yes, thank you for having me this evening. Again, Deborah Luzier with GRW Engineering. I'm the one that last year about this time started working on your Unified Development Ordinance, the combination of your zoning and subdivision control ordinance. So familiar with the town and your regulations, and with the absence of the town manager, I'm happy to assist with making sure your Board of Zoning Appeals and your Plan Commission keep the ball rolling and everything, and review petitions. You can use me as little or as much as you need to. I even talked to Doug a little bit about possibly maybe weekly some office hours in here. If there's work to be done, great. If not, I've got other things I can work on and build the time to. So happy to be at your service and field any questions that you might have.
Deb has been to lots of our planning and zoning advisory board meetings and helped us through lots of things with regards to the planning and building stuff, and has even this week we had a guy purchase a building in town, wanted to know if it fit, the zoning fit with what he wants to do with this building. He's actually the guy that was going to try to buy the cafe, but that fell through, and so he's now purchased the massage therapy studio at Ohio and Kentucky there, 140 or 114 East Kentucky, and he's going to turn that into his packaged liquor store. And so he wanted to know, is the zoning for that building, does it fit with that? Which Jenny got a good laugh at me with looking at the zoning map, and I saw TBD for the zoning. I said, it's to be determined. And she said, no, it's the town business district. So, but
That's a great mind thinking.
so Deb knows a lot of those kinds of rules relating to planning and zoning and building the BZA stuff, and even building permits and those kinds of things.
Yep.
Which we currently have 8 open building permits going on in town. So, I mean, I don't know what steps need to be taken on each one of those, but Deb might be able to help us with that.
Yeah, the laundry list of items in the proposal, we do have building inspectors handy to do building inspections and review applications if need be. So.
Well, I got a quick question. You talk about the gentleman in the massage parlor. We all know the reason he didn't get the cafe, because the Presbyterian church, that he got permission from him to go ahead and do it, but he told me he was gonna open it as a restaurant also. That he didn't have no intentions of that, so that's one reason the ABC or whoever turned him down for that.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
now, I don't know the distance from that building to the Presbyterian church. There's a distance.
200 and
He said it had to be 200, and it was like 206. But the Presbyterian church had given them their okay, and then the 2 of them reneged on it.
Well,
That's
the
one
reason they
reason
reneged,
on it.
because they thought there was also gonna be a restaurant, which he didn't put that information, that's what he told
Well,
them.
the liquor license is in his wife's name.
Yeah.
So when he got the approval, that was for a liquor license in his name. And so they reneged on it once they found out. They thought he was lying to them as well. What happened.
And I agree with that, would definitely be a mess on Tuesday nights.
yeah. So the proposal from Deb is to work on an hourly rate, just as needed. So if we have a question or a permit that needs to be done, or we have other things that come up related to building, planning, zoning, and inspections.
Mhm.
Like the one house on York Street, that's an open building permit. I just happened to drive by it today, and it looks like it's done from the outside. So I don't know if that homeowner is waiting now for an inspection to be done to say this is closed, or I mean, like I said, I don't know what the next steps are.
Sure.
So she would be somebody that could help with that kind of thing if we want to retain her services.
Yep.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Deb?
Well, I don't know, Jane, do we have money in the budget for,
Well, I guess you just take it out of the town manager money for right now.
That would be my thoughts. It would be,
I did, they called from Danville today and wanted to know if Dwayne Lane's planning and zoning thing was still on for the February meeting.
yes,
It is?
yes.
Okay, I told her to call me back tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a public hearing notification that he's put out, or his lawyers put out in the,
She was gonna send him out tomorrow, so she wanted
Oh,
to make
okay.
sure.
yeah, so, yeah, February 2nd, he's proposing, he wants to put 2 more doubles in, on Pennsylvania down here, so. Alright, anything else on this proposal?
Do we need a motion or anything?
What is the hourly rate? I don't have anything.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I ain't handing these down to you. It's $125 an hour.
And that's the same whether it's planning services or the building inspection services, so it's just kind of one size fits all there.
Was that a contract or just an open?
That's just an agreement, and it's open-ended, so we can do it as long or as short as you would need to, and, totally up to you guys, we're flexible.
So we need a motion for it?
That would be my guess, yes, so that we can vote on accepting this agreement with Deb as a GRW employee, correct?
Mhm.
You're not like doing this as a side job
No,
at
I'm not.
GRW. This is a GRW
No, I don't
employee
have time for
doing-
that. And my
So-
rate would be a lot lower if it was.
Gotcha. Okay. So we would need a proposal if we wanna move forward with accepting this agreement.
I will make a motion that we accept this agreement.
Okay, first motion
I'll second.
and second motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay,
And I brought
Thank you.
2 copies, so if I could get a signature on one, take it with, and you guys keep the other one, that works for me.
Now, will we contact you as needed, or how do we get you involved in?
Well, so far Doug has just been the one that's like, hey, can you look at this,
Oh,
or
okay.
do that,
I mean,
so, whatever works best for you guys works for me.
Okay.
Very good, thank you very much.
thank you.
And I'll start looking over the petitions for February.
Excellent.
Alright, thank you.
Alright, next on the agenda, fire department garage door openers. I sent everybody 2 bids for garage door openers. James McDermott contacted me saying that they couldn't get the garage doors to open. They had some maintenance folks out, said these are such old door openers that we don't even have parts available for them. So they're kind of like, we just have to replace them. And so I asked him to provide me with 2 different, or I asked for 3. He said he couldn't get more than 2 in the short notice. But so we got 2. The company from Danville, which is Deering, they're the ones that have done most of the work at the fire station, so they're very familiar. Dalco also has done a little bit, but So there's the two proposals. There was a question, good question from Jenny about the furnace. Dan had prepared for replacing the furnace this year at the fire station. The closet work that was done at the end of the year was to prepare for a new furnace being put in there. According to James, they're not experiencing any problems with the furnace at all right now. So in our discussion, my thought was prioritize the garage doors, openers. Maybe later in the year, we will have a little bit of money left in there. Later in the year, get bids on a new furnace if it's still needed, and then do that towards the end of the year. But right now, we thought prioritizing the garage door openers would be, because what's happening apparently is they'll respond on an emergency and the door will stay up. It won't close when they try to tell it to close.
I can verify that, cause I closed the Tuesday night when it was that.
Well, thank you.
The furnace, was it just Dan was planning on replacing the furnace just simply because it was getting up there in years? Or was there other, or was it malfunctioning?
Not that I really know of. I think it maybe just because of age.
So it might need to be replaced at some point in time, but right now they're not experiencing any problems with it. It's heating their
Correct.
crew quarters fine.
This seems to be a bigger priority, then, especially if it's staying up. The furnace is gonna work overtime.
I was gonna say, we're gonna make the furnace go up.
The door's up.
Yeah, kind of hand in hand.
On these, door, we're talking about, they need new buttons for each door, right?
It's the actual, like motor, the opener part.
Okay. But for each of the doors,
Mm-hmm.
each with 1, 2, 3, be 4 doors. We got 4 overhead doors.
It was 5.
Okay. And the one, I just seen a, remote antenna mounting kit. What, that means, that's something that's not, you know what that means?
Well, Deering only has one garage door opener in their bid.
And then on Deering, they got an added $42 per remote if you want more than one remote. Which you would need one for each truck, I would presume. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, so there's 5 doors, so we have 5 trucks. So
Yeah, so you need 5 remotes.
We have some, I think we have a couple extra I found that we may be able to program to use, because their commercial doors are pretty easy to program.
And then that one from Delco, I noticed they got sales tax and installation charges included. Well, we won't pay a sales tax.
There's no
No,
tax on
there's no
it.
tax on there.
Okay, good.
Because when you look over the total, it says $0.
Okay.
So they included it on the invoice, but they didn't. And under quantity on the Deering overhead, it does say 2.
That's what it is right there.
Vehicle?
Never seen anything like that.
But I know they're having trouble with doors, cause I see them go out and they won't shut. Well, whichever one we pick, I think they'll get at least 5 remotes, one for each truck. Or vehicle, so they have one on each one, so. Cause more likely they jump in the truck, they're not gonna think about grabbing the remote out of the nose and keeping that, they're in a hurry.
All right. motion on one of these? With making sure enough remotes for 5 of the vehicles.
I'll make a motion, we accept Dalco overhead doors estimate and adding 3 remotes. Wait, is that right? Yeah, 3 remotes.
Okay. Second?
I'll second the motion.
Alright, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. There you have your garage door openers, chief. Alright, next on the agenda is town sign updates. Yesterday I talked with Lee Faulkner with Sign Solution. He also was not aware that Dan left, so he had been waiting for Dan to get back to him to come out and inspect the electrical wiring that had been installed. So when I talked to him, he's like, oh, I can be there at 11. So he came out and looked, and he liked the electrical hookup, so that's perfect. And he said that they're ready to install on the 20th or in the next day or two after. So next week is when they'll install the sign. And then he said the week following, he could schedule a time to whoever wants to come in and learn the software to do the sign graphics and those kinds of things, that he could schedule at a date and time on that week of
Last week of January.
right.
Yeah.
So 26th, 27th, somewhere in there. But anyway, so we just would have to, whoever wants to be here for that, just.
John's our software specialist.
There.
We're gonna need 5 people in there with it.
John and Jenny together.
But I had him send us a thing of the specifics that are required for the computer, so Dave could look over it and see what, because as it is right now with what we purchased, there has to be an antenna in a line of sight of the sign. And so if we didn't make any changes, we would drill a hole in the windowsill in the town manager's office and put an antenna just outside so it could see the sign.
Yeah.
And then it would be hardwired to a computer. Well, there's 2 laptops in the manager's office.
They'll
with-
both handle
Okay.
the software.
So that was my first question, is would that, the older black laptop handle that
Yeah.
software? And it could be dedicated to the sign, so then when we wanna change it, we can just come in and type in whatever we want to type in and.
Right. I thought when we were discussing the signs and all the benefits of it, that it was something that we could access without leaving our house, and not have to come in and make changes. I thought that was.
Well, and I asked him about that, cause I was curious, and he said, well, no, that's not what, he sold us.
Oh.
So, he sold us the hardwired version. He said you could upgrade, like the website, you can upgrade.
Yeah. It's a bundle.
So we could purchase basically where the sign becomes like its own IP address, like a cell phone.
Uh-huh.
And so it's called broadband,
Right.
is what he told us. So broadband receiver in the sign. So you would put this in there, and then if you've installed that software on your
Right.
computer at home, you could access it from, well, if you put it on a laptop, you could access it from anywhere in the world.
Right.
Because it's just an IP address you have to just type in. That's an extra $1,000, and it's a reoccurring cost every year.
Huh.
Right now, with what we've purchased, we don't have to pay anything for accessing the sign. We just put the software on that laptop in there,
Right.
and it's a direct wire to that antenna,
Yeah.
and no additional fees.
Yeah.
The broadband, we would have to buy the broadband remote and then pay a reoccurring fee to run the sign from the fancier option of anywhere in the world.
The other thing we might be able to do is put software on the laptop that would allow us from another laptop to get to that laptop,
Yeah.
and then
Remote in.
then do all your changes on that laptop, but do it from another laptop.
Right.
Me too.
You can do that too. And he said you could disconnect this laptop, take it home, make changes, and as soon as you bring the laptop and plug it in,
Okay.
it uploads.
Okay.
So, and with this software is very complex, or at least I think it is. But you can program out sign changes up to 5 years in advance. So we can put on the schedule on, July 4th of 2024, here's the graphic that's gonna display on our sign out in front of the town hall. And you just go to this calendar and program out all those things. So, that, is kinda fancy. Personally, I wasn't too impressed with his sales pitch about the broadband. I mean, I think having that laptop in there dedicated, hardwired into that antenna would suffice. But I thought I'd bring it to you guys' attention and see what you thought.
Do we have to do that as they're building it? Or
No.
we can add
We can add that on
broadband?
at any, yeah.
Okay,
It's an add-on that you can do at any time. So if we decide 6 months from now, yes, we want the fancier upgrade, we can add that in.
Right. And there may be another way for us to add our own broadband piece to it without going through them and paying for their fees. So we can check all that out afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I did have a thought about the sign and related to, it's very high tech, so it has lots of options. You can basically put, a consistent message that, cycles around to several different things. I didn't know if we had kind of a plan from the town perspective of all the different things we're gonna put up there, or is it just gonna say, it's January 14th and it's 41 degrees outside? I don't know if we had thoughts on what we're gonna be doing.
What content we want up
Right.
on there, and
personally, I think we have enough signs in town that says what the time and the temperature is, so I don't know that we have to do that also, so.
Well, and the sign automatically comes with its own little thermostat station, so it tells us, it gives us that option right from the start if you wanna put that on there. It's kind of I guess it's a standard feature of that sign, but we don't have to labor that tonight. We can just think about it. What kinds of things do we want to put on the sign? At some point, do we want to make it available for businesses to buy advertising space on it, or what?
community announcements or things like that.
Yeah. So
Hiring.
what?
Hiring.
Hiring. Yeah. Okay.
Did, I haven't even paid attention, is the tree gone?
Trees gone.
Yes.
Is it gone? Okay, good.
All right. So that's all the updates I have on the sign. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Next item, town seal contest. So we kind of started this process back in November, and then we kind of got sidetracked from it. So I wanted to get us kind of brought back around to it. I think it's a fun little worthwhile thing to work on, and we'll get a great seal out of it that we'll be able to use in the future. So I noticed in the Republican today, they had some company up in, or no, it wasn't a company. It's the weed control group for Hendricks County. They had a contest for their logo, and a high school student from Danville won that contest with their little drawing and stuff, so
We
same
can
kind of,
put- We can put it on the sign. Small bit.
yeah.
The last thing I had done with this is, I had gotten some stuff for the website to, provide like a contest type, page where you could submit entries. And I think also a piece with it was we could allow others to see, which I don't think is fair. You could allow others to see what entries have been submitted. I don't think that's probably a good idea, you know, but I did that, and then I emailed Leanne, because I didn't have any, I was about ready to write something up, and I thought, well, wait a minute, I don't want to make the decision on the contest rules or what it says or anything like that, so I wrote Leanne, and this is early in December, so then you were out, and I just asking, you know, what kind of rules do we want it, and how do we want this to run, and what's the timeline and the procedure and everything, so that's kind of where it left off with what I was working on.
Okay, so, do we have a list of rules? I know we had talked about $200
Yeah, you
for
know,
a,
I don't know that I've got,
I have this one.
I think that looks like it, yes.
If there was one, I misplaced it, so I didn't know it.
okay, so, and then, like if you could help me, Dave, on condensing that for a decent Facebook post also, because I know sometimes my Facebook posts get a little out of control with how long they are, especially like the public hearing one, that was,
Well, if we get the town site set up appropriately, we want to drive them from Facebook to the town site anyway to submit their entries.
Right.
Maybe we can just,
sure,
like you said, do some kind of a brief,
condensed with the link
condensed, yeah, with the
of
link.
go to the town's website
Yeah.
and here's the contest rules and
Do we have age,
submitted.
are there age limits or anything listed
I don't
here? Or
think,
do we want to have that, or do we need any of that?
I don't think we would need an age limit. I mean, I think if somebody's willing to submit a,
But the key understanding was that it's our seal.
yes,
yes,
Okay.
yeah, cause that's the last thing down here, is it's our property.
All right. Can I have this?
alright, so we'll get that on the website, with a little,
I'll get it on the website, and then
Condensed
I'll let you
version on
guys
the
all
Facebook and-
review it first before everyone else can see it.
How long of a time do we want to keep it out there? I mean, what's the deadline for them to
I don't know. How long?
give them a month, or 2 months, or, you don't want to go too long, but.
make it Valentine's Day could be their deadline. Valentine's Day. That would be a month, right?
You know, I mean, if that's, I don't know if I'm gonna have it up and active.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't, you know, it's not.
Groundhog
think
Day is the second, right?
Why don't we vote on that or decide that whenever
Thanks for the property.
I get the site ready and it's functioning correctly, because I don't wanna
Okay,
rush to get the site up and running and make sure it submits and everything correctly, and
Oh, I
then find
got
out
you.
there's
Okay,
something wrong with it.
Yeah,
I'm following you now.
Yeah,
I was,
yeah.
alright. We can do that. Okay, we'll table that until we have the site ready to go. Next on the agenda, community crossing matching grant is, I called and talked to Brian Fleck, with HWC Engineering, who was the one who helped us last year with writing the community crossing matching grant. He was also unaware that Dan had left, so he wasn't kind of looking for anything necessarily from us about that, but I asked him, are we gonna participate in, getting another one? It's open for submission right now, but he said there's not enough time to put all this stuff together to get it in by the 21st, which is the deadline with the state. But they do have another one in August, so he said for the second one, we definitely have enough time for that. But we need to start working on it now. So, I was kind of curious as to, what everybody thought about where our next, kind of most torn up streets and sidewalks are. For that, I know this last year we did, Cross and Crawford and Tennessee, and those look nice. York is horrible with potholes, and I'm like, every time I drive down York, I'm like, I need my 4-wheel drive. Although, after I had emailed everybody about this idea, I found out that in the community crossing grant matching, this engineering company, HWC Engineering, they have a system that they do of, they come out and also survey our sidewalks and our streets and say, here's what we think you ought to work on. But I didn't know if anybody had opinions on, which ones. I know we have to have a matching amount of funds. For our size town, it's a 75-25 match. And so last time, we got a grant in the neighborhood of $344,000, and which was probably stretching it a bit for how much we had to be able to pay on our part. But because if $344,000 gets given to us by the state, that means we have to spend $147,000 as our 25% kind of a thing. So, but
I don't think we put any grant fund match money in because Dan said we weren't gonna go for any.
I remember that.
Well, we have 25,000 in, the edit fund. And I don't think we put any in anywhere else. Let me see.
and does any of our motor vehicle highway funds count towards? Are we allowed to transfer that and use that, or no?
You can do an additional appropriation to get the grant fund match if you need it.
I guess I may be wrong. I was assuming motor vehicle highway funds was given to us to use on streets and sidewalks, but is that?
It
No,
is,
okay.
but we didn't put a specific grant fund match in there.
Okay.
I don't, it doesn't look like all we did was leave that 25,000 in there.
You know, you talk about places that need to be done. A place that really needs to be blacktop is behind the fire station in the town garage. I don't know if you've ever been back there. It goes up and goes down, and it's really bad back there.
Which Jenny's got that encumbrance resolution to talk about those monies that we've got for that. So we did hire and approve monies to Wallace Construction to do some patchwork on that parking lot behind the fire station. And then they called the garage a laundromat, I think, or something. Yeah. Alright, so I guess we can work on trying to figure out if we even wanna do the grant and if we can find a way to do matching funds. But they're willing to work with us. Brian Fleck's willing to work with us on doing that if that's where we wanna go.
What's his name?
Brian Fleck with HWC Engineering. He was the one who wrote the grant for the last year's one that we did. Any other questions on that? Next one was at our year-end meeting. GRW presented the information about our sanitary sewer, and they talked about how the easement for our sewer line that goes across James Penner's property, the easement and the pipe are not in the same spot. So we have to redo that easement or get it I don't know what it's called, but we have to have the easement redone so that it actually matches the pipe that goes across there. So that in the future, if there's, you know, ever an issue, we're on the easement when we're doing work on the pipe. And George, you talked to James about that already.
Yes. Yeah, he's good with it, and I talked to GRW as a follow-up, and he was gonna get the paperwork started
Okay,
for the process.
so we don't have to do anything
I don't
else
think
from
there's nothing
our,
else. It's down to
perspective.
GRW is, at this point, bring back something and present it to the board.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that done with like a survey team that
I
comes
think, I
out?
think that's what he'll propose, I would
Mhm.
imagine, is, cause they've already done somewhat of the work and know that it's off, right? So it's really just, I think, a paperwork realignment, but there's probably some follow-up work that'll have to be done to get it recorded and all that stuff, so.
How far off is it?
You know, I wasn't told that. It seemed like it was, whatever the width was, that the line falls outside of it, so what is the easement, 50 feet? So off by 50 feet, I would guess at least.
Evidently, they didn't get it surveyed the first time.
Yeah. Well, I think it was one of those things to where, the easement was there and then the as-built,
Back then.
got skewed off and nobody ever matched the two up.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, so it, I mean, just from a legal perspective, we really want the easement to be,
Right, you want
Where
to
the
be right
pipe's
over
at,
the
so
top of the line.
yeah, okay. Alright, do we need any more discussion on the easement then? How about more discussion on the deputy clerk? That's on that, I know we already kinda hit on it a little bit, but. Alright, so the next one after that is, Jenny's got this encumbrance resolution related to Wallace Construction.
This is Wallace Construction, encumbering $25,216.93 in the motor vehicle highway fund for sidewalks, $6,314 from paving and resurfacing in motor vehicle highway that will go over and pay some of the paving. Same thing, $63.14 in the general fund, and then $511.64 for police, for, tires that Matt bought for the police car, cause it was, dated December, so I can take that money over. So it's a total of $38,356.57.
Okay, any questions for Jenny on that? And I did talk to Jake Thacker from Wallace Construction yesterday, and he also did not realize that Dan had left, but I let him know, and then he told me that the sidewalk agreement, where he's about 6 weeks out from being able to get over here and get the sidewalks done. The paving is a little further out because they can't pave when it's freezing. So if the weather gets down to below freezing, they can't do any of that work. So he's just gotta wait till the weather warms up enough for him to pave. So like the work behind the fire station is gonna have to wait. Any other questions on encumbrance resolution?
Do you need a motion or anything?
Yep.
I'll make a motion. We.
Accept the
Accept
encumbrance
the
resolution.
encumbrance
Alright, got a first
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Alright, next on the agenda I have Chief Matt Oliphant.
I only have a few things. Sorry. 7:30 or 8:30. I have some surplus equipment down in the basement, and this is a list of it. Most of this stuff's 20 to 25 years old, and it's been sitting down there for ages. So I just want to get the board's approval to get that disposed of. I have a gentleman that's willing to dispose of it for $100. So some of them are big. One of them's a copier that's about this tall, it's huge. So he's gonna take it and haul it off and
What about the data on the drives, the computers?
I'm gonna remove them.
Oh,
Yeah, well, some of them won't even function anymore. I mean, you're talking about a computer from 1995 that's
yeah.
got nothing on it. It would be,
Right.
but anything that we would be sensitive, I would remove it. So I'm just looking for approval to get that surplus equipment.
$100, huh?
Yeah,
You gonna
he was
do-
gonna do it for free, and then he realized that there was quite a bit of stuff on the list. So
Well, he wants, he's gonna give you $100 for it.
no, no,
That'd
we're
be
gonna
nice.
pay him $100 to haul it away to a recycling company. Because all that stuff has to be recycled, you can't just put it out for the trash.
Right.
And like I said, the one copier alone is probably, I don't know, 100 plus pounds.
It's of no value now.
Yeah.
Probably do a motion just declaring it's no value.
The monitors are usually really hard to get rid of, so.
And they're not the flat screen monitors.
Right, the
they're
big CRT.
Yeah. I think one of them said 1995 on it. And there's one computer that has 2 disk drives. I don't even know, I couldn't find a serial number, I couldn't find hardly anything on it. I would probably guess it's probably in the early 90s. Maybe even older than that. But it's just all been sitting down there for quite some time, it's just time to get rid of it.
I'll make a motion to declare this list surplus.
A second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Alright,
The other thing, the cameras are installed at the town hall, the exterior cameras. If anybody's interested, I can show you how to access those and what they look like. There's one that was for wastewater that malfunctioned when they tried installing it, so I have a replacement coming probably tomorrow. And then there's a bracket for the one on the far corner here that we've ordered to kind of adjust the angle of the view. Because the roof line's kind of at an odd angle, so they've got a little 90-degree bracket that we're putting up there. And I can stay after, like I said, if anybody wants to know how to get on those, I can show them how to do it. The last thing, Officer Cruz, I was waiting to hear back on his status with the state. It got approved a couple days ago. So I'll bring him into the next meeting so everybody can meet him, and he's going to get officially started. So we're moving right along with getting him going. That's all I have.
okay. Couple of things, for you, the, paint that we were gonna put down to help with that parking
Yeah.
spot. Pete wants to wait till the weather warms
Sure.
up so the paint sticks, so just wanted to pass that on to you. And then, a couple months ago, we talked about, you coming up with a map or a place where you wanted stop, or a speed limit signs place in, where you thought they would be most effective.
Sure.
So Pete said, you know, he'd be willing to put them up, so as soon as you get that
Okay.
map together, you could
Yeah,
just hand it to
I can
him
do
and
that.
he'll go out and, put them in.
Have you noticed any difference on Kentucky Street with that sign at all, as far as speed goes? It runs dead after about 6 or 7 days, and they have to charge it.
Oh, does it?
Uh-huh.
I mean, it seems to catch people's attention. I don't know that they know what the speed limit's supposed to be though, cause it just says what their speed is,
Right.
not, you're supposed to be going
That's a
25
situation
on
where
Kentucky.
on that radar sign, it'd be nice just to have a pole, standalone pole with the speed limit sign posted, because there's not one on that road that I'm aware of.
Right, and that's what, you know, I was hoping to do is get more speed limit signs posted so people know what they should be going on those roads.
Sure.
So, if
Okay.
it's a street with a sidewalk, it should be 25, if it's a street without a sidewalk, it should be 15, so.
Correct. Yeah.
It's helped me, cause as I come around that corner to go somewhere, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm going a little too fast.
It's not a bad spot for it,
No.
really, because it's about halfway down. But
Yeah,
like I said, I get about maybe a little bit over a week, and then I gotta pull it off and then take it and recharge it. I've actually I fixed it to where I can charge both batteries at the same time. Before I'd have to charge one battery, come back the next day and charge another battery, because it has 2 batteries. So I can charge both of them simultaneous now. And then, I fixed the phone in there too, by the way.
Oh, okay,
Dan's phone, so we can access it.
alright. That'll be good. And change the outgoing message to make sure it's,
I haven't changed that.
Oh, okay.
We can change that for the meeting.
okay. Very good. It's still getting a few phone calls.
We can actually forward it to Jenny if you don't care.
My phone wasn't working this morning, and
I fixed
then
it.
all of a sudden the red light would start flashing, someone was leaving a message and it wouldn't even ring.
It should be fixed now.
So, okay, darn.
But I can just log on and I can forward calls around if you want me to. Until
Okay.
we get something figured out. That might be easier than changing the voicemail. But I think there's voicemail on that phone right now that we need to check.
Definitely. Okay, anything else for Matt? Thank you, sir. Alright, George, you're up next.
Should I go last?
Wow.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. I'm taking over for, Candy used to always hand out lots of stuff, I got lots of stuff. So I've got a packet for everybody. Make it easier, hopefully to read.
Could have printed it bigger.
Oops, sorry.
Yep.
Alright, and there. Okay, so I'm trying to keep things going at the sewer plant, so, I need to purchase some things, so I wanted to bring it up. I only have 2 quotes, I'll talk about the third one, toward the end. The first one's this, incubator, I think we have a picture there for you to look at. It's the device that holds the, samples that we have to run continuously. So it's like a modified incubator to keep the temperature just right. The one that I have down there now is going on 20 years old. It's been really acting up over the last year and acted up again last week. So it's like I just need to get it replaced before it goes out because it's mandated. So I got a quote through USA, which we buy from. So Jenny, we would just buy through them. Freight would be added onto this after the end, but they have them coming in stock next week, so they'd be able to ship it out. We could get it within a couple of weeks, so just want to bring that before the board and make sure it's okay to go ahead and get the incubator. The second item is yeah.
Put some chicken in there.
Yeah. It's got a computer on it to control the temperature and keep everything just right, so there's a little sophistication to it. The second one is a sampler. So we have talked about I need a sampler that will collect the water, so it's tied to the flow meter. We have one inside now that is there again. It's going on probably 20-some years old. I've had it fixed a couple of times. It gives trouble in the winter time because it's not outside next to where the source is at. So I have problems with the line freezing up. This one that I had quoted actually will set out there at the location. I've checked with GRW to make sure it's not going to interfere with the project that they're doing. Once that project is done, we'll just be able to relocate it to the new source, so it's not going to be a permanent set. We'll actually put some blocks down, set it there, and it'll be actually at the very end of the tank that's out there now, the sulfur dioxide tank. So that quote came in. Now that quote will also have a shipping charge on it that they don't know, it'll just be whatever the shipping charge is. Just like the other one, they'll have to get this on order. Oh, sorry, Jimmy, I can give you my copies.
No, that's okay, he can.
Will these come out of the depreciation fund or is that?
No, it just come out of the sewer
Okay.
operating fund.
Gotta keep your bacteria alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these are things he has to have anyhow.
Yep.
Yeah. And I've bidded them around to make sure that these are good quotes and
Who is the
counted them. So,
sampler from?
this one will be through B.L. Anderson.
Okay.
So they are the ones that do the calibration for us. And then the third item that I don't have a quote that I can present tonight, I've had some issues with the blowers down there, so I had a quality repair come out, which they've done work for us down there before. Working on giving me a quote to come and repair some things that are actually wrong with all 4 blowers. So I didn't know if there's a way that we can, at one point we had said that anything that happens down there, I'm okay to go ahead and get it fixed, unless it's under a certain amount. I think we said like $5,000 or something. So it was like, okay, if their quote comes in that's under the 5,000, am I okay to go ahead and have that service done as well, so I don't have to wait another whole month to come back? If it's over that, then we would say, okay, I'm gonna have to wait, but it's the blower work, so you gotta keep them going, cause then I don't have oxygen for the bacteria and the bugs to do their thing.
Do you think it's gonna come in under 5,000?
I don't know, that's the number that you guys have given me, so I don't know. I would hope so. I would hope that the work's not gonna go over that, but it's some valves and, the knockoff valves, some shut-off valves, and just general things that need to happen to them, so. But it could run more than that, I mean, today's world, who knows? Yeah, but I don't even have a gut feel for, what it would come in at.
Well, personally, I said we need to get it fixed, because it may go out.
Yeah, I don't wanna get
Between
into
time, wait for
a month to do it, right.
I mean, it's gonna come out of your budget,
Right.
either way.
Yeah.
So, it's, I mean, that's what
And I'll control
that's
that,
what that
yes.
money's there for.
Right.
We trust you to
Yes.
pay attention to the bid and know that you're not getting
Yeah,
changed,
exactly.
so.
Yeah.
And
That's-
I think also too, grant, anything under $25,000, we don't need 3 quotes.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be.
Well, you know, talking about the internal control policy, it might not be a bad idea to adopt a policy about small purchases, if that's what you wanna authorize, and then there's a policy that there's no questions about.
Yeah, just
Which
take
that
care
does bring up, I forgot to mention this, Jenny, we were gonna talk about putting together an ordinance that lets you pay bills for our regular bills, so, cause we were getting late fees also for, in the audit. And so this same kind of thing,
Right.
something comes up, but then we have to wait till the next meeting. And, you know, if it's something like a bill that Jenny had to pay, she was running into late fees
Right.
because she was having to wait,
Yeah.
this kind of thing. So
Same kind of thing.
if we could write and the State Board of Accounts has they quoted the Indiana code that allows the town council can write a policy or an ordinance that says these are things that are acceptable expenses before coming to the meeting, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could work on that and make it an official.
And that would be
thing,
helpful,
but-
yeah.
Because I know in his case, probably 99% of the time, his stuff goes out, but we're not available anyhow,
Yeah.
between meetings and stuff.
And I'm happy to manage that, like I say, and then just keep everybody informed, as long as we set a policy and here's what the numbers are, and I'll run within that. And then know that I can always, we can do an emergency meeting or something if we had to, but I hate to go to that.
Would this one-time thing, do you think it would still cover that if we said, we'll give you permission up to $10,000 to spend on this issue?
Yeah, I
And then-
think you're okay here.
Do you think that would cover what we're talking about
Yeah.
here?
Oh, yeah,
Is
yeah.
we
I'm
say,
not even gonna say yes if it is, I'll get some wrenches and we'll do it ourselves or something, yeah, we're not, that's well above and beyond, but I appreciate it.
right, so everybody's good with that if we tell George that the repair on the aerators,
Yeah,
that if it's under 10,000, then you're authorized to spend that
right.
money out of your budget.
And then we're okay with it going ahead and taking care of the other 2 items as well.
Yeah.
You gotta have
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes out of your budget,
Right.
and there are things that if you don't have this, IDEM will
Yeah.
come
Yeah,
snap a
Yeah, exactly.
knot in your tail again.
Yeah, we don't want
We've
that.
had enough of that lately.
Yeah.
IDEM.
Let's see, make sure I got all these covered. The other item I had is, a meeting, here tomorrow with, GRW, to go over the, draft plans, and Henry's gonna be here as well, because we have to figure out exactly how he's gonna tie in and how we're gonna monitor all that. So I'm meeting with them tomorrow. I don't know if they invited anybody else, but it's supposed to be here at 1 o'clock. You're welcome to come, but I'll take care of it and meet with him and go over it. He's just gonna go line by line, all the pages, and go over the details of how the new system's gonna work and if we got inputs and things of that nature.
Okay.
And then, lastly is, on the IDM permit, have you guys elected, are you still gonna be the president for this year, or have we decided, or?
Oh, I don't know, we haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay,
We need to put that.
okay,
I had it on the original list.
so, cause
We'll
I
have to
gotta
do
put
that.
that on the permits when I send it in, so they know. who
We'll
to
let you
contact.
know tonight.
Okay, I'll hang tight.
You sit here and listen to.
I'll sit here.
Yeah.
Alright, any questions for me? We good?
I did have one question about, I know with, you know, our agreement with IDM and the second response that we had to give them.
Yeah.
We talked about your, or the work hours login sheet
Right.
for everybody at the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah.
As that,
So, yeah,
gotten
I mean,
instituted
we
and-
were already as I started thinking through that, we already do that, because I have to report my hours to IDM, so it's already on there.
Yeah, it's on that.
And
monthly-
so I
it's
have
on
it
that monthly plan.
detailed out to her, so we've been doing that forever and ever and a day. So I'm not sure what else they want, but I'm gonna give that to her and she'll have a record of it. So,
Okay.
and then, anybody else that comes down, it's all documented and, like over
I know.
there and do the repair, I'll add it, James does it, I'll add
Yeah,
his
that-
hours.
gal
So,
that emailed us said
yeah,
she wanted to see this, so.
yeah, yeah,
All
so
right.
it'll be there, and Jenny's, I mean, if you
Yeah,
wanna
it's
go
on
back
your-
in
it's on
history and
your
look,
monthly
we can even
thing.
look,
It shows how many hours they were.
yeah.
Okay.
And we've started adding more, because the challenge that we had is that, you know, not all the hours are written down, because a lot of stuff, you know, I'm off the site and I start working, you know, to do research or do something like this quotes and stuff, I wasn't down there doing the quotes, trying to figure it out, or we have to do paperwork, I'm usually doing that at home. And so we started just adding those hours, trying to add those hours into that as well. So we'll just perfect it as we go on, but yeah, we're recording everything.
Excellent, very good, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Chief Moffett,
Okay, so 680 runs total, 680 for 2020. So that number is down by 39 runs from 2019, but it's really not a surprise because when all the COVID stuff hit, people weren't calling 911, and so. But it's still, I'm averaging about 50 to 60 runs a month. So we have a new ambulance, like I said before, it's been ordered, it's in production, and we're hoping to get a delivery sometime in the fall. So it's about a 200 plus day build and delivery time. So COVID's, like around here, COVID's still, I mean, it's still active, but our numbers are down really compared to the rest of the surrounding departments and stuff. So far everyone's healthy. I think I was the last one that, maybe the only one that got COVID from the department, and that was at the end of November. So we're staying proactive and taking care of each other and just staying on top of things and following the guidelines and stuff. Other than that, we got some new radios far as portables and mobiles for the trucks. We got some through Hendricks County EMA. They're doing, they bought all the volunteer departments mobile radios, so that helps us a lot. And then some new portables that we have through Hendricks County Dispatch as part of a exchange program. So they took some of our old ones, gave us some new ones, and so other than that, we're gonna try to pursue some grants for new air bottles and some new gear. So that's really all I got.
okay, anybody have any questions for Chief Moffett? All right, well, let's add on our forgotten agenda item of officers. We haven't,
I make a motion that does be president.
I'll second that motion.
alright. Second motion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Anything else?
We have to do vice. We have to,
We don't have to, we can though. I mean, if we were gonna keep everything the same, we could just say we're keeping it the same, but if we wanna make it truly official, we could make a motion and vote. I'll make a motion that we retain John as our vice president for the 2021 year.
I'll second that.
Okay? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay? Alright, there you go, George. You have your officers selected.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you. Alright, do we have any other issues, items that are not on the agenda? Jenny wants to watch IU.
Probably almost over, huh? Started at 7. I wanted one of these TVs on there.
Right.
It's 48:45.
Huh?
It's
Oh, he's watching
48:45.
the game
I'm not
over
watching
here.
it.
Well,
It's-
I'm gonna bring my
I
phone
just-
and watch,
I just,
and
the
I
score's
watch
popping up, that's all.
Well, that's better than I thought it would be.
Purdue's up.
Alright, do I have a consensus on adjourning the meeting?
Okay.
Here.